Another week has passed us by, which means another episode of Raw is in the books. Now, you already know what you think about it, and yet you still tuned in to get another opinion, and that is mighty lovely of you. That's why here on Ups and Downs, we give all the good segments an up, and we give all the bad segments a down. And also, for the people out there, it's not a competition, so even if Raw scores more ups than downs, that doesn't mean it was a good show. And if it scores more downs than ups, that doesn't mean it was a bad show. We take each segment individually and we pick that apart and then we go, did I like it or did I not like it? But enough of this nonsense and let's up some downs. Chris Jericho is US champion, and that's an up because it just is. Roman Reigns being in the Universal title picture has meant WWE hasn't been able to do much with the US title, so getting it off of him was really important, and also they got it off him while protecting Roman Reigns. I understand that protecting Roman Reigns is more important than making sure North Korea don't launch some nuclear missiles at us. He still got his stuff in, but eventually he succumbed to two people that weren't tagging in and out, even though they were meant to be tagging in and out. So when you take a step back and look at it, Roman Reigns got screwed. But that's fine, because the ends justified the means. There is more to all of this though, and whether that's a positive or a negative is going to be up to you. Because Roman Reigns lost the US Championship, you probably assume he's going to win the Universal title at the Royal Rumble, and that also means that when Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho do break up, they're probably going to be feuding over the US Championship as opposed to the Universal Championship. I know some of you were hoping it was going to be a main event program, but if that happens, it's going to drop down a little bit. Also, who actually is US champion? Because it was a handicap match. It wasn't a triple threat match. So are Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho both the US champion? Or is Chris Jericho the US champion because he got the pin? Or did I miss something on Raw? Probably, I don't know, but I still liked it. While the opening segment was a bit nuts, because we got all the usual general manager nonsense, although it happened backstage instead of in the ring, and Stephanie McMahon still somehow managed to go from heel to babyface, from babyface to heel 4,622 times, which is always a down, I liked everything that happened after that. So it gets an up. We had the tease of the match between Owens and Jericho and Roman Reigns, but when Braun Strowman came out and destroyed all those plans, we got a match between Strowman and Seth Rollins instead. You know what? The match itself was good. With the right opponent, Strowman can be taken along for the ride, and I thoroughly enjoyed this, and it was another step in the right direction for the big man. And it proved that Seth Rollins is very good at working with big men. So well done. That sounded weird. I hated this performance review gibberish. I don't care about Mick Foley's performance. At no point do I tune in to Monday Night Raw to see the hardcore legend get reviewed. He's meant to be there as a catalyst to move things forward, not just take up time. And then I just had to watch Stephanie McMahon recap the last few weeks of WWE TV. Well, whoop-de-doo. Down. I did like seeing The Undertaker on Raw though. I mean, it made no sense because he was a SmackDown star a few weeks ago, but if I start picking holes in things like that, we're gonna be here all day, and I'll be honest with you, I gotta eat. But the Phenom is a genuine legend, so seeing him back on Raw was just pretty cool, even if he was only there to announce he's gonna be in the Royal Rumble. But with that said, non-Mania Taker stuff is now more interesting than Mania Taker stuff, because you know, the last few years, he's only really worked WrestleMania. So I'm intrigued to see how this all works out, and I actually thought it was pretty damn good. That weird growl he did at the end of his promo though, what the hell was that? It sounded like a dog who was chewing on a pillow. However, The Undertaker and I have travelled, quite literally, to the depths of hell. Literally, Mick Foley? Literally, you and The Undertaker literally went to hell. No, you didn't. That is lies. Down. That Shawn Michaels segment, man. Jeez, what on earth was that? Down. I didn't even mind all his talk about his movie when Rusev's music finally hit. I get advertising, I get how it works, I get how you use a platform to let people know about things, but it didn't get better from there. It just got worse and worse and worse. For starters, I didn't understand half the things Michaels was going on about. I don't think Rusev did either, so he just kind of stood there perplexed. And then Enzo and Cass came out and made a bunch of terrible jokes about films. Ooh, we worked the word penis into our promo. Great stuff, boys. Fabu. It ended with Jinder Mahal and Big Cass going at it. Big Cass won, and the sooner I can forget about all of this, the better. At least Rusev did call himself the Bulgarian George Clooney, proving once again that he is best and that I love him. Neville remains a massive up. He could now very well be the best heel on the roster, and even his matches have a new edge and aggression to them as he gets in the ring and he just kicks people's ass. I love it. And it's a role that could get better as the weeks go on. There is so much you can do with it, and I really hope WWE does something with it. On top of that, he had a proper cruiserweight match. Lince Dorado flipped all over the place, while Neville, being the bad guy, slowed it right down, but was still athletic, and he won with the Rings of Saturn. That is good stuff. I still would like these to go a bit longer though, because at the moment they're over quicker than a blink of the eye. They still get their stuff in, but it all feels like an advert for 205 Live as opposed to an extension of that show. That's because at the moment, it is being treated as an advert for 205 Live. That's fine to a certain extent, but the more you do that, the more weight you take away from the division. And, to be fair, it's slowly starting to get there. Throw a few more stars into the mix, and you're laughing. But for now, still a down. In terms of the tag team division, Sheamus and Cesaro versus the Good Brothers is still fine. I mean, that's it. It's fine, so it gets a fine up, and I'd probably give it a middle, but there is no middle on ups and downs. But we'll see what happens when we get to the Royal Rumble and they eventually have their title match. The down comes when we move on to the New Day. Last week, I joked this must be the start of a long-term program involving them and Titus O'Neil. And now this week, that's actually come true. Down. Now, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen, and for some reason I get an odd kick out of Titus, mostly because he's a huge goofball, even though he's this massive human being. It's like a juxtaposition. The two things are just crazy. But after breaking records, are you telling me this is all we have for the New Day? Instead of a more serious edge and tone as they get really mad and upset that they lost their titles, they're just joking around with Titus O'Neil and talking about segments from like 72 years ago, which nobody remembers. Who pitched that backstage and who went, oh, interesting, yeah, I want to see where you're going with this. I get it, the New Day are merchandise machines, but they need an injection of something soon in case they outstay their welcome. They may not, but don't risk it. Don't risk it. The women's stuff was fine on Raw, but it did feel like it was just there to get us through another week as we continue to build towards the pay-per-view. I'm not sure how I feel about Nia Jax pinning Bayley, the #1 contender, clean, but it wasn't insulting and I wasn't offended, so we give it an up. I'm still not getting Nia Jax's mind. She doesn't feel like an unstoppable monster, and even in that segment with Charlotte backstage, where she grabbed her and pushed her against the wall, it was a bit like before that someone had said, right, Nia, now's the time you get really mad. Just because she looks intimidating doesn't mean that's how she has to behave if that's not how she feels comfortable behaving. Find what works for her and push that. So, given all those reasons, that gets her down. We mentioned it at the start, but we need to underline it. Stephanie McMahon at this stage is just a down. A huge down. The character makes no sense to me because she flips around more than the Cruiserweight division. And that's even more confusing because the Cruiserweight division is meant to be doing more flips, and Stephanie shouldn't be doing any flips because as far as I work out, she's meant to be a heel. Just make up your mind. I don't care which direction you're heading, but seeing her tear down everyone is getting really boring. And it's stupid, and that's a down. I know I've already said down, but I'm saying down again because it's one of those segments that I just want to remind you that I'm giving it a down. Because it's a down. Down. And that was another episode of Raw. And yes, as you can see, it scored more downs than ups. Oh my gosh, it's the end of the world. But let me tell you this, I still enjoyed it. I had fun watching Raw, and yeah, it could have been a little bit better, but I still believe that since the start of 2017, Raw has been better than it was at the end of 2016. And as we always say, as long as the chart goes like that, something good is happening. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about Raw, and then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and then come follow me on Twitter at SimonMiller316. Think of the conversations we can have. Or maybe I just ignore you. I won't ignore you. Maybe. I'm Simon from WhatCulture, and it's time to put out the alarm. Because where the hell is Bo Dallas? Where the hell is Darren Young? And where the hell is Bob Backlund? I miss them. I want them back. I really hope they're okay.